hometown station.
It is Santa Clarita's hometown station, KHTS. 2:32 on your hometown station, KHTS, and I am joined in studio a little earlier than normal. I'm usually on at 3, but we have a very special guest in studio, and that guest is Dr. Dianne G. Van Hook of College of the Canyons. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm well, yes.
I'm glad you're doing well.
Yes.
I know you're a busy lady, so I appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with me.
My pleasure.
And I wanted to ask you, I want to open up with this. You've been now, is it 30 years now you've been at College of the Canyons?
30 years. I started my 31st year on July 1st.
Okay. That's fantastic. And so quite a change. I read that when you first started, there were 4,000 students, one campus, only 8 buildings or something like that. And things have changed, so, to say the very least. How have you, maybe talk to me a little bit about the transformation of College of the Canyons in your 30 years?
Well, when I first started here, this was a pretty sleepy town.
Yeah.
We had a Kmart and a Do-It Center and the Ranch House Inn. We had a few restaurants other than fast food, but, not a lot of resources here. At the same time, the reason I wanted to come here was because of the potential. Since there wasn't a lot here, there was a lot yet to be able to do. And I particularly have always appreciated working with business and industry and creating training programs that would allow the businesses to thrive. So that was very exciting for me. So I think over the 30 years, we've been able to see the economic activity in our region expand, the population expand and diversify, the attractability of our region really grow as one of the few places in northern Los Angeles County or Los Angeles County at all that you can still have a quality of life and promote and grow your business. So for me, that's very exciting. I think we've seen the development of business training partnerships. We work with about 850 businesses a year to train their workforce in whatever they need, as businesses will always reinvent themselves. That's the nature and the impact of technology on the economic viability of a region. So we love working with business and industry. We really appreciate the opportunity to partner with nonprofit organizations and to bring resources to the table that a small nonprofit may have, whether it's to host an event or have our staff serve as volunteers. But I think more than anything, the idea that we thought we could do, which was to expand access and opportunity and grow from 4,000 students to now, in any given year, we serve about 32,000 different students. That's pretty cool idea to be able to grow that much.
So let's talk about a little bit about the expansion. When you first started, like you said, there's only one campus when you first started. Now, the Canyon Country campus is growing. How old is it now? Is it 10 years old?
It's 10
now?
years.
10 years old. It just celebrated 10 years. And it's still in the works of expanding it even more, which we have some. If you're watching on Facebook Live, you could see some of the images of the new science building and some of the just overheads of it. But let's talk about the College of the Canyons, the Canyon Country campus a little bit. What are the plans for expanding there?
Well, typically when you open a new campus, it takes about 5 years for you to hit your enrollment target. And we hit our enrollment target the day we opened.
I was going to say, it was probably, 15 minutes probably here in the Santa Clarita Valley.
Our target was 3,500 students, and we had 3,532 students the day we opened. So we were full. We were in line to get resources, matching dollars from the state to build some buildings. The state passed a bond measure several years back, but they haven't yet released any of those resources. So we, in the meantime, 2 years ago, passed Measure E, which included millions of dollars to be able to either enable us to maximize funds by matching state dollars, or if in the absence of the state's ability or willingness to move, we could move ahead so we could serve our community and meet its needs. So We began planning. We were able to receive approval for our Science Center at Canyon Country Campus, which is right here.
It's a photo of it. You can see it on Facebook Live. If you're tuning in on the radio, go to hometownstation.com or to facebook.com/KHTS radio, and then we'll have images up there.
That's a 55,000 square foot, 4-story building.
That's big.
It is. That 55,000 square feet is more square feet than we have on the entire Canyon Country campus right now.
All right, so we have some work to do, is what you're saying.
And it will have more labs for all of the sciences than we currently have on our Valencia site. So as far as people who are pursuing a STEM degree, this is going to be an amazing resource for them because it more than doubles our ability to provide state-of-the-art and current science classes, either for employment in the field, nursing, medical lab tech, or for transfer. So we're really excited about that project. We broke ground in January of 2018, and it's due to be occupied for courses sometime in the 1920 year. We hope sooner than later. At the same time, there's another building. This is just a simulation, but there's another building that looks just like that building, which is on the other side of the promenade and the amphitheater. This is an amphitheater, which is a mirror image building, and that's our library and our tutoring center and our student support services. That building is actually going to be submitted to the Department of State Architect in September.
Nice.
And we never know how long it goes in there for. Sometimes it's a short time in the barrel, and others it seems endless. But we will be able to then, when it comes out, within 6 months of coming out of DSA, break ground on our student services, or on our library tutoring support center, learning center, and that's 55,000 square feet.
Nice.
At the same time, we are also designing and will be submitting within the next 9 months working drawings for a fine arts building complex at Canyon Country campus. That building will include a small theater, about 275 seats, and facilities for all the fine and performing arts, which will be great because we're limited right now. We have a great little amphitheater there, and we do as much as we can, but it's outdoors.
Yeah.
If it's windy or cold or rainy, it's not usable. So we're really moving forward with great gusto on that campus.
She's Dr. Dianne G. Van Hook of College of the Canyons, and she joins us on your hometown station, KHTS 98.1 FM and AM 1220. And I wanted to ask you, so is the goal of the Canyon Country campus, is it to kind of have the same abilities as the Valencia campus, or is it just added on to it? What is the main? Do you want to have mirrored stuff, or do you want like newer stuff at college at the Canyon Country campus?
Well, the design of the Canyon Country campus, from a conceptual perspective, was that we would have all of the basic facilities, and by basic I mean the subjects that everyone needs to transfer. The general education,
transfer
right?
Stuff, yeah.
And a number of the associate degrees as well. But it also was to build some unique facilities that Valencia has that Canyon Country won't have.
Yeah.
So to have some things that would draw populations. So, for example, Canyon Country will not have a football stadium.
Yeah.
And College of the Canyons will not have 2 football teams.
Okay.
But on the other hand, the Canyon Country campus already has an applied technology education center where we house our construction technology program, which is growing and adding specialties this fall, including electrician, expanding plumbing, framing, the things that are going to be needed in this valley as we build another 36,000 homes over next number of years. So that won't ever be at Valencia. The redundancy of some of those very specialized facilities, it's not cost effective.
Yeah. It does make sense, and they complement each other.
And they
like
complement.
And
we have people who take classes on both campuses. So if you live in Canyon Country, you might take classes there in the evenings. If you work in Valencia, you might pick up a couple classes at the Valencia campus. So the idea is to provide the classes that are the general education breadth requirements and the transfer requirements in Gen Ed at both campuses, and then to specialize at each of the campuses.
She's Dr. Dianne G. Van Hook. She is from College of the Canyons. She's joining us on your hometown station at KHTS. There's let's get to this. There's that new thing coming through. The first year of college free. Let's expand on that a little bit about that. And from COC, obviously, this is going to affect College of the Canyons. But what are your thoughts on it?
Well, we didn't have any tuition or fees in community colleges until 1984. It was free.
Okay.
And that was part of the master plan for higher education that was developed in the 60s. It wasn't until we hit the oil crisis in the 80s and resources started to become less available in the state of California that we had any per unit enrollment fees. We've been fortunate since 1984 to keep them very reasonable. They've started at 5 and they went to 13 and then they went to 26 and then they went to 13 and then they went to something else, and they've been at $46 per unit for a number of years now, and that's been a real priority and advocacy on the part of our system and the colleges themselves. So in California, $46 a unit, that's the lowest per unit fee of any community college system in the United States. The next lowest is, I believe, about $108 per unit. And some are $300 and $400 per unit at a public community college. So we're lucky. But at the same time, things get in the way, barriers get in the way of students to be able to pursue their education. And we all know that the more educated and trained workforce we have, the better lives people can lead if they have a skill or an education that enables them to obtain a well-paying job that will thrive into the future. We also know that educated workforce contributes to the economic base of the local area and also the kinds of jobs that will come to an area if that access is provided. So we want to do everything we can to provide support for students who are not able to afford the fees to go to a community college, along with all their other obligations. In our community college system, we have BOG waivers, Board of Governors fee waivers, and if a student qualifies financially, they can have their fees waived to go to college for both years, actually. The College Promise program was designed, there's actually 4 versions of it.
Okay.
So we were able to compete we were one of 15 colleges to receive a $750,000 grant last year to provide the first year of college free for first-time, full-time students. First-time college students, full-time. So we were one of only 15 colleges to receive those funds. So we launched our First Year Promise program last year, First Year Promise Premier program, and there were a number of requirements that students had to meet, and including completing the financial aid form to see if they were eligible for tuition waiver. They had to have participated in an online orientation. They had to complete the First Year Promise application, and they had to attend a summer boot camp that would help them transition from high school to college. As a result, they had a guarantee of the full load of classes that they needed for the fall. They also were able to complete English and math in the first year, which of course is joyful for most students because most students especially put off math until like the last class.
Oh, I know the feeling. Yes, I I am a COC graduate, and I the last semester I took statistics
Yes.
because I absolutely had to.
Yes.
So.
So the students did just amazingly well. We had I believe it was 90% of them complete their first two semesters with a 3.0 or above GPA. It was just amazing.
Fantastic.
So that was great. So then at the same time all that was going on, there was a bill passed at the state level called AB 19. And AB 19 was called the First Year Promise Bill. And it was designed to provide any student that was already receiving a BOG waiver with additional support to be able to go to college. The problem was there was no money with it when the bill passed. So this past year that we just finished, that bill was provided with some funding. So we were able to launch a second First Year Promise called First Year Promise Plus. We launched it in July. And the nice thing about this is it was open to any student who wanted to attend college for the first time, not just a recent high school graduate.
Oh, that's nice.
So if you came out
Went
of
into the-
college,
went into the
went
workforce.
straight into the workforce, now maybe you don't care for that job anymore, it's changed, it's going to be phased out, it provides you with free tuition for the first year so you too can go to college. You do have to go full-time, but
Yeah.
you don't have to be you still have to go full-time, but you don't have to be a high school graduate, recent high school graduate. So that's great, and we still are taking applications for that. The requirement is that you make $50,000 or less a year, and that you go through certain processes, and those are identifiable on our website.
Nice.
And we can actually, we actually have a link where people can go and look for that. Then another thing happened. So, for all these years, we got no tuition support for students unless it was a BOG waiver. So, beginning this year, there's another option called the Student Success Completion Grant. And this is for students who are already receiving a Cal Grant B award. And that allocation is generally about $1,700 a year. If they enroll in 15 units, in the fall and the spring, they can receive an additional $4,000 to go to school.
Nice.
So not only are their fees paid, but their books are paid and their transportation is paid and maybe a little to help out with childcare.
Yeah.
So it's called the Student Success Completion Grant. So we're just thrilled that we have so many options now to afford students to be able to go to college. And that's very exciting because education is a gateway
Yeah.
to opportunity, and we take that very seriously for our students.
And generationally, it can change people's lives. Absolutely.
It
And
does.
education can change people's lives. She's Dr. Dianne G. Van Hook. She is from College of the Kansas. You know her, but I have to reestablish here. But on your hometown station, KHTS. I wanted to ask you about, maybe briefly here, about the expansion of the University Center. That has been quite a godsend here for a lot of Santa Clarita residents, but there's still expansion to happen with that, right?
The University Center took a long time to find the funding, to raise the money, to bring together funding for, and we opened it in 2009, and we currently have 40 bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, 1 doctorate, and all the teaching credentials that you need to teach in the K-12 system. We still have capacity to expand, and what we try to do is we try to add those programs that are in high demand. So, for example, this last year, we had a Bachelor's of Science in Homeland Security. We added accounting because everybody, whether you do your accounting online or not, you're going to need to get some technical assistance. So when we added that program in conjunction with our full-time faculty in the accounting department at College of the Canyons, it filled up right away. So we had to add a second cohort at the same time. So we will continue to expand that. We've had about 3,500 people receive their degrees and credentials since the program opened. It's the only university center in the state of California that is of the magnitude that it is. We do about 15 to 20 tours a year of other community colleges. There is a university center at Lake Tahoe Community College that's going to have its ribbon cutting next Thursday. And I'm very proud that they used, it's a smaller scope because Lake Tahoe is a smaller scope.
Yeah.
But they used us as a model.
Nice.
And we were able to encourage them and cheer them on to be able to open that. The distance that it takes to get to a physical four-year college and university, especially on our freeway system, and if you are a parent with children and work,
Yes.
is a barrier that is not easily navigated.
Nope.
So we are absolutely thrilled that we have the University Center. It also provides an amazing resource for businesses and other entities to utilize the space in professional conference rooms and meeting facilities if they're a small business and they don't have access to that. So,
beautiful building in there. It's absolutely the I don't know if you know the title of it, but it's the Dianne G. Van Hook University Center. You probably knew that already. And we have Dianne G. Van Hook joining us in studio. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to ask you here is about 25 years ago, 1992, Carl Goldman, owner of the station, mentioned that you predicted exactly what would happen in the year 2000 for College of the Canyons. And so now we have to ask you, what do you see? Where do you see the future? Let's say 2030. Where do you see the future of College of the Canyons and maybe just community college in general? Where do you see the future going with those things?
one of the things I believe I said in that interview was that community colleges would become the graduate schools of the future. That by that I mean that continuing education would not be an option to get extra brownie points or get a salary adjustment. Continuing education would be required by anybody who's working in a profession that's not only historical. And even so, if you taught history, as my grandmother said when she came to visit my classroom when I was teaching U.S. history in the 70s, and she had been a one-room schoolhouse teacher, and she was about 88 at the time.
Okay.
And at the end of class, she said to me, "Well, dearie, I've just got one thing to say to you." And I said, "What?" She said, "If I decide to go back and teach, I'm going to have to go back to school and get some more education because there have been 4 wars since I was in the classroom." And so I guess even with history, you need to go back to school.
Yeah.
But education and training and access to that is an ongoing requisite of not only being able to create the best opportunities for yourself, but for what's needed in the workforce to allow it to be competitive. So I made that statement, and now we are seeing that. We are seeing that with our 900 business partnerships, with the apprenticeships programs that we've created, with the workplace learning systems, with the partnerships with ever so many industries in our area. I think that will only continue to be a need that the college is absolutely thrilled to be able to meet. I think that access to online, hybrid, anytime, anywhere, your way, at your pace, is going to increase, is going to intensify. And I think that the diversity of our students will continue to change and grow even more. And I think that's great because perspectives add richness to the dialogue and the topics. So how do I think College of the Canyons will change? I think that more people than currently participate and engage with us in the learning opportunity will do so. I would venture to say it's going to at least double. I will say that the Canyon Country campus will be complete by the year 2030, and hopefully a lot sooner.
Yeah.
I will think that we will have a great planetarium at the Canyon Country campus to serve as a resource not only for the college's curriculum and programs, but a resource to local elementary schools, districts, and children for the science and STEM. I think that we will have a fully implemented college-going initiative in all the elementary schools so that children are learning about college and choices when they're in the first grade, not when they're in the 12th.
Yeah.
And I think that that the percentage of high school students that will be concurrently enrolled in one or more of the many options that we have for them in this valley will grow to at least 1 out of every 2 high school students.
And there you have it. You can take that to the bank.
You can.
Doctor, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate
you.
you. I know you're a very busy woman, and I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me and talk about College of the Canyons. I am a product of College of the Canyons, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for you, but I appreciate you taking the time.
Depends on how the video turns
I
out.
guess so. Going to take a quick break, and CNN